Hello and welcome to the Procrastinaria. My name is Jan and today we're playing EU4 as Pomerania. Between the last episode and this episode I decided we are going to we're going to change our religion and slowly become Prussia. We are actually, I was thinking about this, and we're going to turn Protestant rather than Reformed. We do need to boost our stability to do that, but we will become Protestant. I think it's a good way to go. I want to talk about the Protestant Reformation a bit. I have a lot of different countries covered in the Protestant Reformation. I don't have all of them. Wikipedia does cover Hungary, Italy, Ireland, and Slovene lands as well. But I have some of the parts where the major reformations went down, because how the Reformation went down is that the north of Europe became Protestant, more or less. The north of Europe more or less became Protestant. Central Europe had severe wars of religion, which there were severe wars of religion, especially in France. We'll talk about them in a little bit if we get to them. And then the south just continued being Roman Catholic. They didn't really care that much. They just were their own thing and continued being their own thing. Now, while we wait for the to have enough admin power to actually boost our stability up to 1, which we need 118. Lithuania refuses Spain. Fantastic. That spends admin power. Let's build a marketplace then. But as I was saying, the Protestant Reformation, which already started in this game, and we're going to turn Protestant in a few minutes, hopefully. It kind of started in 1517 when Martin Luther basically nailed the 95 Theses to the doors of the All Saints Church in Wittenberg. He basically was criticizing the church, several church policies, and the signing of indulgences being the major one. Which, you know, perfectly reasonable. And why don't we have an alliance with them? Or a royal marriage? Oh, we do have a royal marriage. Oh, we do have an alliance. I'm an idiot. They would be our vassal. And what happened was that kind of sparked the Protestant Reformation and kind of went against what the church thought, and the church wasn't really happy about it. I mean, I wouldn't be happy about it. Sweating sickness. We are going to... Salvation and piety are the only answers, simply because we can't afford to lose anything else at the moment. Our relations with Lithuania are a bit poor. The Protestant Reformation was kind of predecessed before Martin Luther by Jan Hus and John Wycliffe, I think his name was. And they were kind of already criticizing the church and gaining followers and all that jazz. But it kind of didn't fully kick in, I guess, until the Martin Luther not really came to power, but until he nailed his thesis to the wall. Let's see, the nation of France, our faithful allies, requesting that we come to their aid in multiple conflicts they're engaged in against Austria, Thuringia, Hesse, Lorraine, Serbia, Munster, Hungary, Saxony, Brittany, Tuscany. Austria's allied. I don't want to go to war with Austria, but I guess we lost the stability because of it. But let's see. The war against Austria. Austria is very, very powerful. This war, winnable. Totally and utterly winnable. War against Austria, not sure if winnable just yet. Don't know where the Austrian forces are, honestly. That's what worries me. Our army is fully up to speed. We could have a larger army. How is our... 204. Can we get a better one? Oh, yes, we can. Good. Then we are going to see what Austria has going in Vienna. Actually, we're just going to move into Breslau and kind of spy on Austrian forces, but we have a lot of allies in this war. So do the Austrians, but we have more, I think. We could also go and try and take out Saxony over there. I don't think Austria themselves have that many forces. At least I'm guessing they don't, because they haven't marched on anyone yet. But the war goal is to take Vienna, which we will do. In the meantime, I'm just going to continue talking about the Protestant Reformation. So there were kind of two major branches and several smaller branches that kind of split off. Sweden, why are you insulting me? That kind of spread off the Protestant Reformation. Well, kind of spread. It's so difficult to explain. There were kind of two major branches. One were the Lutherans, which are technically strict Protestants, which appeared in Germany, the Baltics, and Scandinavia mostly. And then the other were the Reformed, which kind of formed in Germany, France, Switzerland, the Netherlands, and Scandinavia. We are going to get plastered, but well, hopefully they don't go after us. They go after France. And Denmark is fabricating claims on us. And the response of the Catholic Church was, as we all know, to shove their opinions down everyone's throat, which they are more than happy to do, always, at all times. Holy crap, I'm being so severely attacked over here, it's not even funny. Hopefully no one else gets into this. What if they do? Hungary is not attacking. We need to win that battle. We've won the battle and ran away into the mountains. I want to say the Royal Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Church, their response was to establish a counter-reformation, which we all know about. They established it in the Council of Trent. And one of their ways to combat it was to form the Society of Jesus, the Jesuits, who we know Brittany has been annexed, and they were literally organized to counter the Reformation movement and the Protestant movement. Now, I'm going to move into separate countries. We are going to talk about more of these countries in probably the next episode or the episode after that. We can't talk about all of them right now because there's simply too many of them. But the first one being, we're going to move into Switzerland first, because Switzerland is usually very, very peaceful. In case you haven't noticed yet, they usually are. I'm forgetting to invest in cardinals, which it shouldn't do. The first one being Switzerland. Switzerland had kind of two major movements. The first one being under Zwingli. He was of the opinion that Mass was only a representative of Christ and more of a memorial, and that Christ was not actually there, while the Lutherans and the Roman Catholic Church, they believe that the church, that the spirit of Christ is always there. Which, to each their own, I say. I'm not really opposed to anything. And Zwingli actually met Luther at the colloquy of Marburg, which was a total failure. They disagreed on everything. They had a fit. It was considered an utter failure. Then the other guy that was kind of popular in Switzerland was John Calvin, came into Switzerland after he was sent fleeing out of France. Let's say it like that. He was severely against Pelagianism, which it's not the same as copying something, but it is where what it means in theology is that the original sin, Pelagianism teaches it, is that the original sin taunts the human nature and that mortal will is not capable of choosing between good and evil without divine influence or divine aid. And he was strictly against it, which makes sense because we've proven in the past that we are completely capable of doing such things and deciding things on our own, and divine influence is not exactly needed. Now, he also disagreed with Luther about the double predestination in the Holy Communion, but those are different topics that are weird. I don't know why we're investing in cardinals. We don't need to, since we're going to go of a different religion. We're going to let them actually do that for us. Now there was a now we're gonna move on to Scandinavia because that kind of covers Switzerland. Each of these separate views has a very specific view on the world and how the Roman Catholic Church should work and everything. So we are just going to move on to other things. We're going to go siege Ratibor up here. Maybe we'll get it in a peace deal. So we're going to move on to Scandinavia. Scandinavia was we divided it into two parts. The first one being Sweden and Finland, because that's how it was ruled. We have Sweden and Finland, which was at that point, with the start of the Reformation. Thank you, Comet. Thank you. Thank you. We love you so goddamn much. Was ruled by Gustav Vasa. He was elected king in 1523, and then in 1527, during the Diet of Weistras, I don't know how that's pronounced. It's spelled V-A with the dots on it, S-T-E-R-A with the dots on it, and S. In which he basically became the head of the church and split off from the Roman Catholic Church. And then in Denmark, which also ruled over Norway and Iceland, in 1536 the authority of the Roman Catholic bishops was terminated by the National Assembly, and after winning the Count's War, Christian III becomes king and basically continues spreading Reformation throughout his rule and throughout his kingdom. That's it, basically. In England, there was a different kind of split. It wasn't really by the Reformation, but there was a split for completely different reasons, and that's the split and the creation of the Church of England by Henry VIII, who I think we all know why he created the church. Well, why he split from the Roman Catholic Church. In Scotland, we have John Knox, who was kind of the figure face and the main guy during the Scottish Reformation. He was kind of responsible for the formation of the Church of Scotland. What happened was that the papal authority was repudiated in Scotland in what was called the Papal Jurisdiction Act of 1560, which kind of forbade the celebration of Mass and approved Protestant confession of faith. Now, I forgot to say this earlier. What I am saying is not everything there is to say about these separate movements in these separate churches. I am surmising the big things, at least the things that I found the big and important ones in each of them. There are a lot of other things that could be looked at and they're quite interesting, and I totally say you guys should go look at them because it's interesting and it's part of our history and we should all know at least something about it. But these are the major points. Now we're going to kind of move on to France. France is a bit iffy when it comes to the Protestant Reformation. It's a little bit more messy than the rest of the world is. Now, the Protestant movement in France was labeled the Huguenots. I'm not really sure why, but it was. They would label the Huguenots, and the Parliament established the Chambre Ardente, the burning chamber, and it was established as a method of counter-reformation, which then countered Reformation actively. Now, France then, because of all of this, was plunged into what is in France known as the wars of religion, which are not a pretty thing. They honestly are some of the most horrid counter-reformation wars that anywhere. Death of Henry II in 1559, which weakened the crown authority immensely and basically allowed for such things to happen. And what did eventually happen is in the August of 1572, in what is known as the St. Bartholomew's Day Massacre, the Roman Catholic Church party basically massacred between 30,000 and 100,000 Huguenots, which sounds terrible, and it is a terrible, terrible thing. There's a disputed succession in Hesse in the meantime, which, if I could find Hesse. Personal union with Austria. No, I don't like that. Though these wars of religion went on for several years until the Edict of Nantes, which is actually in the game. I think it's one of the French ideas, which then allowed the official toleration of Protestants. There was another edict issued later, which basically renounced the Edict of Nantes, and that was a bit of a sad occasion. I'm really hoping France lets Austria doesn't let them off the hook that easily. But that's it what I had prepared about the Protestant Reformation. There are a few other countries that we will talk about next time, I guess, because this time while we're at war, next time we will become Protestant and we will start converting our provinces into Protestantism. And I thought it appropriate because we're not really going to talk about the we're not going to talk about the specifics of each and every country, but there are a few others that are, they were affected by the Protestant Reformation. Because we will become Protestant, I think it's important to at least know some of the basics of Protestantism and what happened during the Protestant Reformation. And one of those being that it was bloody and it was messy and a lot of people died because of it. Which is a sad occasion. Detach a siege over there and move into Ratibor. It was a sad occasion. We should be able to take care of them rather easily, I think. Stability point. There we go. I'm gonna try to finish this war before the episode ends, hopefully. Otherwise this episode is just going to be slightly longer. I don't want to continue dragging out this war forever. For those of you that do want to know, I am feeling a lot better now than I was when I recorded the last episode. The last episode I was feeling so horrible. So horrible. Diplomatic reputation. German territories are grouped into regional circles. Their function are keeping local peace with common forces. This is Reich, guys. Common forces collecting imperial taxes and coordinating opinions of the imperial diet and imperial chamber court. Diplomatic reputation +2. We will need it. Military drill allows us to invest in military training and hereby improve battle formation, weapon handling, and boost the morale of our army. I know we can convert people into the proper religion, but we don't really want to if we're becoming Protestant, do we? I just wish this war ended so we could become Protestant. I guess I could force the war's end on our side. We do probably have quite a bit of... only 6% war score? Are you kidding me? I couldn't even get them to do anything. Ay. Actually moving into Bohemerwald. Try to get those returned to Bohemia. Munster accepted peace with France. We've won the Battle of Linz. Interesting. Helge is French. Berg has been taken, which means that Hesse is completely taken. Hesse will cede Berg to France. That's not good. What happens in Hesse now? Personal union with Austria. Still don't like the idea of that. Hopefully Austria's prestige drops so much that they won't be able to do that. Brandenburg is on our side, France. What the? We've taken the siege of Ostmarsch. Then move into Steiermark. The French are already sieging that. Alliance with Hesse. Yes, Hesse, of course. You were my ally before, why not be my ally again? France accepted peace with Austria. Austria ceded Cambrai to France, gave Verona to Venice, ceded Bohemerwald to Bohemia, released Ferrara, Luxembourg, Hainaut, Liège, paid 130 ducats. Combine our army, send it into Stettin, and commence the counter-revolution. The Reformation. Well, the Reformation, technically. We're going to turn Protestant because of the national tax modifiers and the idea costs. And we're gonna end the episode on that note. We don't have cardinals anymore. And we are not totally accepted. We're going to go through these ideas and then we're going to end the episode. We have the Pass Test Act. Exclude all non-members of the established church from holding any military or civil service, reserve that privilege for members that have received communion according to the proper rites of our national church. What missionary strength plus 1% tolerance of heretics minus 1. Superintendents. Establish a new office to be held by a superintendent similar in character to the position held by a bishop, but instead of being appointed by the archbishop, the superintendent will be appointed by the monarch and therefore be more likely to be loyal to the crown. National revolt risk minus 1%, stability cost modifier plus 6. Pass Conventicle Act. Discourage nonconformists by forbidding any formal religious assembly of more than 5 people other than those approved by the established church. Missionary strength plus 1, tolerance of heretics minus 1. Introduce church taxes. Improve revenues by allowing the church to extract certain taxes from peasants. National revolt risk plus 1, national tax modifier plus 8. We're going to take all of them. And next episode we will reform into Prussia. Right after I boost our stability. That's it for this episode. We basically achieved an important step into becoming Prussia, which we will become in the next episode. We will get entirely new ideas because of we get Prussian ideas, which are the same as Brandenburg has, I think. Which will increase the strength of our army quite substantially. Austria will no doubt try to get us back into the proper religion, which we can do after we become Prussia. I don't really mind accepting religious unity. But that's it for this episode. If you like this episode, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, bye bye!